So I was saying when Open Door was up here earlier, is Next Door here too?
Can we go?
Because if they are, then we're gonna have a Royal Rumble cage match after this, just to see who's the most dominant. So, okay, let's go back. All right, there we go. Okay. Awesome. Okay.
Okay, so just a little setup for what we were trying to accomplish last year as a brand. And you heard, we were really a 50-year-old brand that in the home warranty business. Over those years, Frontdoor was the parent company, and we owned several brands that we had acquired over the years, and as well as some like ProConnect and Stream were some ancillary brands that had some extra services we had for us. I'm going to get you to go ahead and move. But what we saw is that we had a current state in the home warranty business. It's not the most exciting business in the world. It's a little disjointed. We've acquired all of these brands over the years. They all had unique systems that still didn't talk to each other. It's a sea of sameness in this category. American Home Shield, Choice, all of these. You could look at the ads on one screen and it looked like the same logo. It looked like the same colors, the same offers. It's very confusing, difficult to shop category for the users. Low awareness or understanding of what a home warranty was. People didn't understand the difference in that and a home. I have home insurance. I don't need a warranty. What's that? So basically, you got introduced to a home warranty the first time you bought a house. Or if you're an older person in a house, you might want it. Budget protection. And then we're playing catch up really in an industry that we had invented. As a 50-year-old product in the industry, there's a lot of startups, a lot of new people coming in, trying little things, and able to move faster because of systems and so forth. But what we saw was an opportunity, go back one, to really change the future state of that and target on the customer needs. We saw an opportunity to consolidate our brands, get them together, tell a brand value story, but really becoming that partner for the homeowner in a different way, and we wanted to reinvent the category. So now we can go. So we've consolidated down to 2 brands. American Home Shield now holds all of our home warranty brands, and we decided to launch our parent brand, introduce this, Frontdoor. This is a launch of a startup brand powered behind a 50-year-old brand behind us. Frontdoor we saw as a way to go into a digital category, help people where they are, the way they want to be helped, no commitment, pay-as-you-go kind of model. And we saw a real market for this behind there. We knew that there are confident outsourcers in the market. These people are confident because they believe that they can fix absolutely anything in their home themselves. They're outsourcers because the minute they find out they can't, they're quick to hire somebody to come in and do it. We have self-reliant skeptics. These are people that I fall into. A little bit longer term in owning a home. You've tried it before. You've seen contractors come in and botch jobs. You've seen things and like, oh my gosh, I hired a contractor for that and it was like 10 minutes. So you become that person that believes you can do it because you can probably do it better than whoever you're going to hire to come in there and do it. Or you have your Rolodex of people. And then you have your box checkers. Your box checkers are the people that are busy. They're spending their weekend with the kids at the ball games or out on the lake boating. They don't want to be tied down to their house. They see it as a chore to go through that, and they just want it done fast. How can I get this over with? Collectively, we refer to these as our solution seekers. So there's 41 million households in the U.S. that fall into this segment of users, which is actually larger than the home warranty market within there. So we saw this great potential to launch a new type of brand, a digital-first brand, and we launched Frontdoor as an app. And if I explained it to you, I'd say it's like Teledoc for the home. You can call up, you can talk to a licensed plumber, a licensed electrician, an HVAC specialist, or even a handyman, and they will tell you in real time how to fix that problem you have. So you could spend hours on YouTube searching for it, find the right video, and then have to watch 20 minutes of video to get to the 15 seconds that mean anything to you. Or you can open the app, get on the phone right away with one of these guys, and they can talk you through it, they can show you what to do. They can draw on your screen and show you this right here. This is the thing you have to touch. And most of the time, we can actually help that user fix it or get on their way to fixing it themselves. And if they don't, we can rely on our network of contractors with American Home Shield, where we have 60,000 contractors in that network, and we can get them that referral and get them somebody that they can trust to get in there and take care of it. But what our experts are doing is actually they're building that trust first. So it's hard to know, when do I call a contractor? I've got this list, how do I know if they're any good? Well, we've already started to build that relationship with our contractors. The best thing I can show you is a video, which is next, of the app. That's right, $25 a year, unlimited calls. Because what we're really trying to do is build that relationship, become that professional, and get basically in the front door. But the idea is then you have access to our network of contractors, you have access to other services that we provide, but you have a relationship and somebody you can trust to make sure that we're not sending a contractor out there when it's a 10-minute job that you could have done yourself. So we worked with our brand agency then, knowing everything we knew about our segment, knowing what we had in store, what we could build, and we have came up with some great creative.
It's your igniter. We'll help get that fixed. Then your oven issues, done.
The best part about opening Frontdoor is the video to get these to-dos done, yeah. Video, chatting like crazy. Experts on shirts.
Man, an app to fix my oven.
Yep, an app to fix your oven. That's correct.
Introducing Frontdoor. Download today to video chat an expert.
So we gave Jason some lofty goals with the launch of this, and I'm going to let him take you through that part.
Yeah, so we knew that we started with an amazing product and amazing creative out in the marketplace, but we had some lofty goals to reach in order to actually deliver against 500,000 installs and a 50% awareness of a brand that had never advertised before. This was all with the backdrop, the knowing that there are the Thumbtacks of the world, the Angies of the world, the TaskRabbits of the world that have a fairly similar product offering, but what they don't offer is the differentiation of actual video application where you can chat with a pro and have your problem solved. So that was differentiating for us, and it led us to making some strategic changes in how we're going to implement our campaigns. Here's a sobering fact for you, though. 99.5% of all new app campaigns, or I shouldn't say campaigns, new app launches fail because they don't actually get installs. That's quite scary for us when we started this. So what we had to figure out was what were the types of audiences and where did we really need to make a big splash in order to make an impact against that. So first up, the approach that we took through our media strategy was really understanding that video was the foundation of the product that we were actually providing. We needed to make sure that we created intrigue for it. So prior to the actual launch of the campaign, we had messaging in market about coming soon for the product. We also needed to be ubiquitous, essentially, with an omni-channel campaign that ran across every media type that you could be considered, so that we're driving frequency of those catchy tunes. So the other spot that we didn't show, actually, was we built this city. We built this city on rock and roll, yeah?
Yeah, we fixed this toilet.
We fixed this toilet.
On video.
On video. So we wanted to make sure that stuck in with people's minds. So that was a big part of that. Actually, I think this might jumping out on me. Yeah, let's trade. Okay, there we go. The last piece, ooh, that was big. Yeah. The last piece is testing the long tail. So for us, we wanted to make sure that for the media that we had in market, were there optimizations that we could be making as we were continuing our evergreen efforts within linear and CTV. And we'll talk through what those look like. But first off, our launch plan actually, the app launched April 11th last year. The prior 2 weeks to that, we actually had activity across several different video integrations. But within a 2-week time period, we had to swap out everything to say that the app was actually launched and that you could actually download it at that time. Our first integration was actually with the MLB, and it was a really serendipitous moment because it was opening weekend sponsorship, opening weekend video integration, and our tagline was "Open the front door." So open the front door, opening season, great synergies. But A funny story about how we got there. Anybody remember FTX crypto exchange collapse in 2022? Yeah, well, they were the holding sponsor of that. So we lucked out. We were in the right time in the right place because we actually created our relationship here in Q4 of 22. So we missed all the upfronts. We missed a lot of the opportunity to actually purchase that, some of those sponsorships ahead of time. So this was a serendipitous moment for us to actually to get that. And part of it was a video integration, a production of a talent with MLB, and we were able to actually get Ronald Acuna Jr., who just so happened to be the MVP last year. So it was a great opportunity for us to have a context associated to the actual programming that we're in. And we'll show you an example of that spot.
Ronald Acuna Jr., binging all his favorite rom-com movies. How did we get here?
You're all set. Refrigerator's fixed.
That's it?
That's it. All done.
Cool.
Ronald Acuna Jr. downloaded the new Frontdoor app to get real-time help from a video expert for his home repair and maintenance needs.
Woo! Let's go.
So all that's left to do is be done. Frontdoor is coming soon. An all-new home repair and maintenance app. Learn more today at frontdoor.com.
And just like what David said from Open Door about the context making much more of an important impact in how people were responding, we saw the same effect from this campaign. So when we ran these within the MLB locations, we were also running our other spots, but we were seeing that we were getting better response from these, obviously because of the context. So we were also understanding that home buying index is pretty high against home improvement content. And we wanted to have a sponsorship that actually tapped into a market that was outside of sports. So we had the HGTV Smart Home integration, which allowed us a various amount of integrations on the website as well as in the actual programming to deliver that home audience that we weren't necessarily reaching in sports. We were also the headline sponsor for the NFL Draft. So all trade alerts that went out were sponsored by Frontdoor. That kind of helped us in the latter half of Q2 actually deliver to a continuous audience with these tentpoles. Now, we all know that sports is pretty much the only appointment viewing TV left. So in order to match that in the CTV landscape, we wanted to make sure that we're actually delivering to consumers on their own terms when they were selecting their videos to watch. So we used max in-front units to actually incentivize consumers for that campaign. We also used Hulu custom units to identify whether or not QR code scanning and downloading of the app were actually generating different kind of results for us. We are active in OLV and social on YouTube and other various social channels. And finally, we did have direct attribution install understanding against our Amazon box wrap. From that, we actually had the social influencers within Amazon be able to show the depth and breadth of what the product was actually able to provide in kind of a DIY aspect of things. So we'll talk a little bit more about what the results are that we saw from specifically that box itself. But first, we started our foundation with Frontdoor with the understanding of how American Home Shield kind of went to market, which was typically in a performance-based marketing model. So I, just kind of asked ChatGPT, what does a performance marketer look like? Who's that type of person? Well, that's a performance marketer, in case you didn't know. But who's a brand marketer? Well, that's a brand marketer. And what does a brand and a performance marketer look like combined? That's basically the same person. So what we knew going into this is that the performance marketing foundation that we had and understanding how DRTV executions were delivering results for us for the home warranty landscape could then be actually applied to understanding how app installs were directly attributed based upon the TV that we had in the market. So we actually partnered with Lockhart Weschler Direct. They're here today too, and we used their Smart Match 360 tool in order to understand those who were exposed and the campaigns were actually in market when we were seeing app installs happening. Could we actually have a direct correlation to those? And we did. So we actually saw, based upon the opening day, smart home, and draft, obviously a significant increase there over that time period, directly attributed to what we were doing within the video landscape. And then our other pops along the way came from those other tentpole moments. Just to note, over those first 10 weeks of the campaign, we were very heavy within linear and CTV, over 500 household GRPs per week against that campaign. So we had a pretty big blitz against that to make sure that we were going to reach those download goals. The way that we set up the attribution for this allowed us to understand by program, channel, and type what we were actually driving for those campaigns. Now, obviously, app platform campaigns are going to have a direct attribution to those who have installed them right away. Apple and Google, that's paramount to what they have set up. But we actually saw that from linear CTV and streaming and others, we actually show that a direct correlation of an impact and the spike of our app platform campaigns associated to the videos that we had out on market. And when we were dark, we saw a jump that happened against those. So what did this do for us? So over the first 6 months of the campaign, we actually over-delivered on our 500,000 install goal by 158%, eclipsing a 1 million mark by the end of the year. And with that, we also saw over a 50% awareness, which was really probably the most impactful for us because we weren't necessarily brand marketers in the past. We were kind of venturing into that space to make sure that we were kind of competing with the marketplace. This was all of the backdrop that most of these other competitors are spending 3x as much as us on this launch. So when we're seeing a 9-point increase, which is a 21% increase versus our baseline wave, that was huge for us. And actually, on the install basis, we still see, 5,600 installs per day against the app within 2024. So we're growing pretty dramatically.
Yeah, it's around 30,000 a week that we get of downloads.
So some campaign learnings for us that we want to share. We had the hypothesis that if we used our DRTV methodology, we could essentially align that with install data, and it would give us the ability to make sure that we were making informed decisions on that media implementation. And it did. That was great. And the optimization of those channels and network selections actually improved our cost per install from the start of the campaign to the end by 57%. And you're wondering, well, didn't you have your tent poles? Wasn't that like kind of skewing things? That's isolating out our evergreen campaigns with linear and CTV alone. So we assumed that the tent poles would be a much more costly endeavor than some of our more down funnel opportunities. So that's isolated to that. And we also learned that the tent pole integrations led to our direct spike in installs. And finally, the Gateway Go units did outperform our open rate benchmark by 66%. That's essentially when a consumer scanned the QR code, they would receive an email that would send them to actually download the app. Seems a little counterintuitive, doesn't it? But we did see that the open rate for that was great. However, the amount of scans was a little underwhelming. We'll talk a little bit more about the amount of scans there.
I wanted to talk about the social commentary for a bit, and I'll let you go ahead and go forward one. As a marketer, it's your dream to have a commercial go viral. And that's what happened with our spots. The Ronald Acuna spot, which wasn't even one of our big brand spots, people were talking about that in social media 3 months later, and it ran for 1 week. So that kind of tells you, but we had people telling us they're following us because of the song. I would see people I knew in social media talking about a commercial, and they didn't know I had anything to do with it. So this was great. That didn't stop with the campaign, though. It carried across to the actual experiences people are having inside of the app. So our customers, they're on the call, and at the end of those calls, you see the reactions that we get. We can view these videos and see the reactions they have when they fix that thing in their house that's been bugging them forever. They offer to send Venmo tips to our experts. They offer to buy them beers if they're ever in town. They love these experts. We have one guy that has called over 70 times. He bought a new house. He takes the phone with him into Home Depot to say, is this the right part? He's trying to get everything right. So these consumers are loving this. The campaign took off, so as a marketer, this is what you are always striving for, of how do you get people to start talking about you in a positive light out in the real world. So we were very excited about the reactions that we got here.
One of the things we did was kind of a post-analysis, like how could we improve? How could we have made this a bit different moving forward? we wanted to experiment, I think, with more creative variations and how-tos. We had those 2 produced spots, which had several different cuts and whatnot, but wasn't necessarily kind of the breadth and depth of where we would want to go with that. So there's room to grow, obviously, there. As the campaigns were running, we were starting to uncover that there were regional tendencies that existed for those who were kind of buying into larger packages or buying into different things within the app itself. So that could take us to a new step of actually optimization against those regions and determining whether or not the installs are more cost effective in one market versus another. We kind of focused on that typical home warranty time period, which was Q2 into Q3, but seeing as this app is essentially providing support and service across an entire year, it kind of made more sense probably if we extended our tentpole events into maybe first quarter or fourth quarter. And we look at that now as we're kind of planning out for the future. Tempering our expectation on QR code usage, I think, is something that we learned pretty quickly. I think maybe less than 1% of those exposed actually scan the QR code. So, but that doesn't mean that what we did with Amazon Box or what we did with the Hulu units wasn't something that provided cachet against the brand. That was the more important thing for us, I think, in the grand scheme of things. What it tells us is that we don't want to measure it on that. What we do want to measure it on is the type of impact that we're getting from the reach that we get with that and the buzz that we get around the consumers talking about it. And the last piece that we felt probably needs some improvement is isolating the upgrade audience. So much like we were looking at regional tendencies, those who want to upgrade to an actual $25 unlimited package is very different within certain regions as well as certain types of attributes that we've seen. So those are some areas that we could probably take some new steps on. So that's what we had to share. We'd love to have questions.
That was great. Thank you. Do you have any questions? Anyone have a question for these guys?
There's a guy in the back there.
Hi, I'm Bob Frady. I own a company called Property Lens. I'm curious, are you still being held to performance marketing metrics because your company was so performance marketing oriented before?
It's definitely a battle I am up against. And from the warranty business, they had a formula. They knew exactly what they do, how to measure it. And I've done a lot of educating. I've worked with startups before. I've worked with some of our team before, so I actually use a lot of the correlation pieces because I find a lot of valuable insights inside of that. So with Frontdoor, we have been able to kind of move past that a little bit and get into more of we're actually watching activity. We're watching the downloads, we're watching the account creations, the purchases, and the engagement of how many video chats are we getting. So we have moved, I'm proud of how far we've moved away in some manners of that. That said, it's certainly something we're still watching. So where it makes sense in the channel, but we are also launching a brand that we have to tell people about, which is an awareness play, and that's a little bit different.
Anyone else? All right, Jeanna, Jason, oops. Okay, we have one last question, and then we got to move on.
Thank you. Angelica with Novartis Pharmaceuticals. Your goal of getting 500,000 apps downloaded, what was the time frame from that? Because you exceeded that quite drastically. So was it a 3-month, 6-month window?
That was in the calendar year, so it would have been an 8-month window that we had from April until the end of the year. We're now approaching 2 million, and we're still not quite a full year old. And we just had a call with Google last week I was telling Jason about, where we know that Airbnb had 1.2 million downloads in their first year. So we have done very well from the download perspective, and we're just now driving that engagement and that next level.
Awesome. Well, you guys were great. Thank you so much. Again, Jeanna and Jason, big round of applause.